Hello, 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 welcome back. It's all about non-player characters today, those essential aspects of your game. And we're going to do quite a bit of work around this today. I'm going to discuss the topic, maybe a little bit different to what you've seen before, but I'm always trying to evolve this in some way. I have a poll which I'm going to put up, and you are welcome to take part in that poll. Grab some food, some drink, make sure you're comfortable, and we'll get into this. Okay, I'm going to be fairly quick about getting into this because it's a very hot day and my brain is going to just shut down otherwise. And I have a little bit of a surprise for the end. Anyway, let's go. Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about tabletop role-playing games and specifically crafting, making, creating, writing up your non-player character, the character that the game master or dungeon master is responsible for and controls. And there's a lot of different things you can do, tricks of the trade that I've sort of collected over time. I'm sure a lot of people have, and I wanted to discuss them today, so that's what I'm going to do. The first thing is, quite often you are put in a position where you need to create a non-player character quickly. And the easiest way is not to craft a non-player character, but to get someone else to do it, or have them already made in advance. Okay, there are a couple of ways of doing this though. Like there's a couple of books out there that have these things already made for you that you can use, such as the Game Master's Book of Non-Player Characters, hundreds of pages full of NPCs. Even Pathfinder's NPC Codex is full of pre-made non-player characters. Any published adventure is full of heaps of non-player characters that you can sort of basically steal or borrow. The internet is full of NPC generators that allow you to make a non-player character with just a push of a button in a few seconds. And the website NPC generator, it's not going to do everything you need it to do, but it will certainly do a lot of things that you need it to do. So it's a good tool. There's also the Game Master's Book of Random Encounters, which has also got a percentile table in there where you can randomly generate and create NPCs. And you should be able to generate quite a few different NPCs for a while before you sort of exhaust the combinations. There are a lot of different combinations. There's also ChatGPT. We have to discuss the fact that you can actually make an NPC with ChatGPT. Will it be very good? Probably not, but at least it will be fast, right? You just have to make sure you prompt it correctly, and ChatGPT version 4 can spit it out. If you've got the paid version, you'll probably get a better product. So what about if I want to actually make it myself? So building a non-player character, there's a couple of different things. I would always start with the name. It's easier to start with a name or start with a picture. Okay, non-player character name is probably the most important step because it's the first thing your players are going to ask you about. Like, what's their name? What do they look like? But what's their name is quite often the first thing they come to. You can also do this electronically. You can use generators. The website Fantasy Name Generator is really good for just generating names if you're struggling. The Donjon website, that's DONJON website, very good generator as well. The Dungeon website has a name generator under the resources tab if you're interested. The Makers Forge Games website, so Makers Forge Games website has a name generator in the generators section as well. There's nothing wrong if you're just using names that you know of that are pretty standard, people maybe you've met or you know of, even exotic names of people that you've met or know. You can use them. You don't have to use a generator, right? It's actually not difficult to make up a list of non-player characters, and you can reuse this later. It's a common piece of advice people give out. Like, make a list of NPC names that you can use at some point because you'll probably need them, and you might run out of them at some point. If you suddenly there's an NPC that you need to name that you didn't think about. So it's a good improvising tool. Using the sample names offered in the role-playing game handbook that you're using, like it doesn't matter whether you're playing D&D or Pathfinder, quite often in the races section or species or what's it now called, is it heritage or ancestry section, there'll be a section that has names. I know for one thing that I'm currently playing a lot of Shadow Dark, and there's just a bunch of tables of names in here that I can use if I want to. And that's not just for the players, but I can use that as a game master, dungeon master, and put them in for any NPC that I have. Pop culture names from books and comics and movies. Sly Flourish has already created a random list of names that you can use. There's an article on the website on the internet. You just go to slyflourish.com and you'll find it under generating names. And then, of course, ChatGPT can also generate names if you're struggling to do it yourself. So there's no excuse to not be able to create names fairly efficiently and quickly if you need to, okay? The next thing is motivation. And I would say that's probably more important than personality or how they look, although it's tempting to go to what do they look like first. I would say NPC motivation is probably more important because this is how you interact with the player characters. They're going to be trying to find out how they can motivate your NPC in some way, okay? Or what is driving them. So the motivation of a non-player character is really vital for portraying and interacting with the player characters and the world in general, but more importantly, your player characters. So pull a very simple motivation from real life if that's going to work. Quite often that's the best way to make it fit. You can have motivation tables for villains and NPCs. You can find them in most game master or dungeon master guides or books for any kind of role-playing game. There's usually some sort of motivation table for an NPC or a villain. And then, of course, there's a bunch of resources that you can go and look at. Again, I'm going to direct you back to the random generators. Often do this. Like, find that NPC generator usually will give you something that looks kind of like a motivation, right? Or is stated as such. But also, too, you can use ChatGPT, right? I know probably a lot of you are using ChatGPT for a lot of this stuff, but there are resource books that I've already talked about, okay? All of those will work perfectly fine. Then you have your NPC aspects or non-player character aspects. Now, what that means is this is giving you depth to your character. And this is not necessarily the most important aspect of the character. This is just filling things out. But there's one aspect to the aspect to this that is probably very important. Now, the depth of your non-player character is creating a function. This might be how they function in your adventure. Are they a helper? Are they a villain? But might be as simple as, are they a baker? Are they a blacksmith? Are they a guard? An occupation, a function within the story, the adventure, the campaign you're running. But then we also have personality traits. And I would suggest one personality trait. Now, the reason why I say that is fairly important is because this helps direct how you portray the character. The motivation and the personality trait are really important to a game master or dungeon master in terms of role-playing that character to your players. Whether that is in person, over the internet, by Zoom calls or whatever, video chat, even if you're dealing with Roll20, it doesn't matter, all that sort of stuff. Heck, even if you're just dealing with very primitive stuff where the NPC is not that important, personality trait and motivation are really important. But there are other things like, what are their ideals, what are their bonds, what are their flaws, sometimes secrets. Sometimes the secret is their motivation, okay? But not all NPCs have secrets, by the way. So yeah. Now there are a bunch of places you can go to get information on this. D&D Speak, so D&D Speak website has a bunch of random tables for selecting or generating up to 100 different personality traits, villainous character traits, NPC jobs, and other aspects that you might want to use. The Spontaneous Dungeon Master Companion on the DM's Guild website has also got a bunch of stuff there. And the books that I've mentioned before, the Game Master's books of random encounters and non-player characters, have a lot of this already, things like secrets and obstacles. So, tables, random tables and so forth are great, but you also have to bear in mind it has to fit within the adventure, the story, or the campaign you're dealing with, right? So you need to have some control over it. So here's where I would suggest you probably want to not just randomly select. You do need to actually, if you're going to have a table, sometimes it's better to see the entire table and go through that table and see what seems to make sense. Randomly generated sometimes winds up coming out as being weird. Yep. A very easy way to develop a non-player character aspect is actually by using the backgrounds from the player's handbook for Dungeons and Dragons 5e. I think the 2014 book is much better than the 2024 book, but the benefit of the 2024 book is it does have a table of personality traits. It's not a big table. You could have 100 different personality traits as a table if you wanted. I'm not going to explain how to do that. That'll be for another day. But it can be done, okay? So you can use them, slide them in. I would suggest not doing it randomly. I would pick from the table what you want rather than just roll dice. You can also roll up to 1 to 6 Rory story cubes. These are cubes with images on them that help assist and inspire you for ideas about the non-player character. And each picture on the cube can be an aspect of that player character, okay? I mean that NPC. Next, this book here is actually excellent. This book here, this Game Master book for Pathfinder surprisingly does a lot of stuff really well. And I was really impressed with this one too. I've mentioned this already, but Pathfinder's Game Mastery Guide is one of the best books I've seen out there. I would say maybe not quite as good as the Shadow Dark one that I've just picked up recently. This is the only book I've bought this year, by the way, people. It cost me a lot of money. Right, now, I know you were thinking that this was probably more important and should have come first, but actually it's not as important as you might think. That is the NPC appearance. Your player characters are often going to want an image or a description of what your NPC looks like. And even though that is probably the second piece of information they're going to start looking for, or even the third piece of information after the name of the NPC, what the non-player character looks like really does help define at surface level what they are like and who they are. But it's not vital, but it's definitely very useful, okay? You don't have to, if you don't have time to sort of find a picture of a non-player character, then create an important physical feature that makes them stand out. Maybe they wear a hat. Maybe they have a moustache. Maybe they have a scar on their face. Maybe they have a tattoo. Maybe they have pigtails. You pick something, one thing, and that's what defines them, okay? That helps separate them from everything else. The D&D Speak website has random tables for selecting or generating up to 100 different physical traits for non-player characters. If you have access to the internet, you will find hundreds of non-player character portraits on Pinterest, but this is unfortunately a trap. When you start using an image, this can be a trap because you can suck away all your time trying to find the perfect picture to fit the NPC that you've created. So don't do that, okay? Don't waste your time with the picture when you need the other stuff. It's more important. You can come up with one feature and you're done. Pathfinder and other tabletop role-playing games have decks of face cards that can also be very helpful. You can just have these decks and then change them around, switch them out, carry them with you, have them ready to go. I like using the non-player character portraits myself. It can be difficult again, just like when you're going and looking for images on the internet, to find the perfect image. So again, another trap you can fall into. There is a way around this, of course. You can draw a picture of a non-player character. That might be an option if you feel confident with your drawing skills. That's fine, do that. I know people are going to say, well, what about Mid-Journey artificial intelligence software? You can create, images of non-player characters with just a few lines of text. Sometimes they come out looking a bit strange, but they're getting better and better over time. And then you have actually Hero Forge, which is a miniatures customization website. It's a good place to make NPCs, and you just screen capture the image once you're finished. The problem is, again, time consuming. Even Mid-Journey and artificial intelligence, it will take a little while to get what you want spat out the other end. My advice to you is start with the picture and then build the character from that. If you're going to use an image, always start with the picture and build the character to the image, because the picture will tell you a lot about that character anyway, rather than trying to fit it the other way around. It's like trying to shove a square peg into a round hole when really what you want to do, okay, is instead of doing that, that's too hard. You start off with a square peg, okay, a square hole, and you simply make a block that's square to fit in the hole. That's what you do. Yep. So now, NPC stat blocks. This is the maths behind your NPC. There's really nothing quick about building a non-player character stat block for combat, so don't bother. There are ways of making this a shorter process. So almost all role-playing games have a creature or monster book with generic stat blocks in them for commoners, combat NPCs, stuff like that. The Pathfinder NPC Codex is full of pre-made non-player character stat blocks, and it's a pretty good and useful resource. But of course, it's tailored for Pathfinder First Ed Edition in terms of the maths. The other stuff you can use anywhere. The D Hole's House website. So that's DHOLE, House website. Huge library full of free Call of Cthulhu non-player characters, which you could use in Call of Cthulhu, but you could use somewhere else if you wanted to. The Donjon website has a non-player character generator that also creates stat blocks for different game systems, believe it or not. The monster manual for pretty much any version of Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, the Bestiaries, they often have a bunch of very general combatants stat blocks for NPCs in the back of the book, including the commoner. Like, even the OSR books, quite often they will have generic NPCs that you can use as well. Yep. Dungeons & Dragons 5e has sidekicks, which are medium complexity stat blocks if you want more control. You can also find it in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It's also part of the Dungeons & Dragons Essentials kit. And if you go hunting, you'll probably find the early version in the Unearthed Arcana. If you want a more complex stat block for Dungeons & Dragons 5e, and you are trying to build an NPC, I would go to the website RPG Tinker, where you have a lot more control. Again, we can go back to ChatGPT will make a stat block for different systems. It's better at 5e and older systems where there's lots of information it can find and scrape off the internet, right? So if you're looking at older versions of D&D, it can probably do that. It can probably handle that as well. The newer systems, it might struggle, particularly if they aren't freely available. A lot of stat blocks aren't freely available on the internet. Next, miscellaneous recommendations. I wanted to give some recommendations because I've made a lot of NPCs, probably just as you have to. And I find that a combination of all the methods I've suggested today and techniques will help you if you're struggling making an NPC fairly quickly. Okay? Start with a name, work your way through, step by step. If you don't get to use your non-player character, then save it for another time. It's all right. It's not wasted time. It's possible your player characters will kill that character as soon as they interact with them. They'll get their character to kill your non-player character that you spent all this time working on. So don't invest too much time into it, but also don't get too upset. If they only ever get the name, all you need to do is change out the name and you can keep everything else. Quite often, you'll find that players will kill an NPC before you've used it for very long. So, you might only have a chance to introduce them and decide, nah, it's dying, if you've got murder hobos. Now, there is what is described as the 3-sentence NPC, or the 3-word NPC. And the easiest way I can say this is you start off with name, okay, motivation, and personality. Or you can go name, a word to describe the personality, and its motivation is a single word. Or you can switch that out and you can go with appearance if you feel that's going to be more important. Particularly if the motivation is not highly important to the adventure, you might find all you need is name, personality, and appearance. Yep. I find that generally 3 sentences is enough to do an NPC and give you most of what you need. You want the name, you want what they look like. That might include what race they are and what sex they are. If that's important, it may not be. And then you're dealing with 1 sentence for your personality trait, and then 1 sentence is their motivation, and possibly, if you can include it as well, what they're doing right now. You can usually include that as 1 sentence, and that'll give you pretty much everything you need. If you need a more complicated NPC, you can build that later. It's all right. So that's the advice I have for you today. Now, don't leave, because I'm going to provide you with a link to a lot of these websites. And I wanted to do this separately from the actual presentation so that I can actually get to the chat as such. So I'm going to put into the live chat all of these links, and you can ask me whatever questions you need to. I would normally build something and make something at the end of this presentation, but it's so hot, my brain is not working well enough to be able to do that, and I actually need to keep this fairly short today, unfortunately. New Zealand summer seems to also be causing a lot of hay fever for me, so that's not helpful. But anyway, I'm hoping this was helpful and useful. If it was, great. Thank you for watching and listening. And thank you to my patrons. And till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Okay, so I'm not gone, but I would like to go through and provide you with a bunch of links in the chat that you can peruse. If anybody has any resources that they use themselves, please feel free to mention them, and if I can find the link to that, I'll put it in. So Fred Hubert is a patron. Thanks for being here. Pale Rider. Yes, hello. How are you, Pale Rider? How's it going? Butch the Bathhouse Brawler. Go. Ollie the Owl. So I can see a few people are creating a few NPCs in the chat. Now, normally we would make an NPC, but like I said, it's so hot here, I thought I would just provide resources for people to make them, and they can just go back later on and watch that and pick up all those resources and then compile them in some way. Yeah? So you're just describing an NPC, Pale Rider. I use people I have met or read about. Yes, that really helpful. I use a lot of real names too. Fantasy name generator, translation programs, easy NPCs. Yes. Quite up. How's it going, Argus? How you doing? Quite up. Most important tip: the only NPC the players will actually care about are the insignificant, improvised ones you have you never planned to last long. Yeah, that's very true. So a single sentence. Look, if you can write your NPC in 3 or 4 words and just forget about all the linking words and a note form, it's probably a good idea. So yeah, quite up is probably very correct. This is why I mentioned the 3-word, 4-word NPC and the 3-sentence NPC. Dungeons and Chronics. How's it going? So let's start with the first lot of resources that I was talking about so that you can decide whether you like these. Use them if you don't want to use them. Don't use them if you don't want to use them. That's fine too. So I want to, I guess, yeah. What I want to do is I want to try to pull out some of these resources for you. Some of them are paid, some of them are not. I'm going to try to include more that are not something you have to pay for. I think that might be more useful to people to have it that way. So the first one is called the non-player character. It's the Game Master's Book of Non-Player Characters. I actually think this is a pretty good resource. I have the book myself. I'm fairly impressed by what they have. You know, it's not perfect, but it's definitely pretty interesting. So I'm going to get you a link to this. Can I do it? Can I do that? Or is it going to just make it difficult for me to figure out how to do that? I don't know. Dismiss. Yep, dismiss. Okay, thank you. Whew. So this is the... Will it let me do this? Oh, okay. This is not an affiliate link, by the way. I'm not going to drop affiliate links in here today. So this is a link on Amazon. This is a link to the Game Master's book of non-player characters, the first thing that I would suggest. Another one that I had mentioned before is the Game Master's book of random encounters. Now I know that sounds like it's the wrong book for what you're after, but truthfully it's not. Of random encounters. The good thing about this is it gives you locations that you can use as encounter locations, while at the same time allowing you to have NPCs, and that's pretty helpful, right? Suddenly you've got something that does both tasks rather than just one task. I also have and own this book, so I'll chuck this in, paste that. I want to get through past all of the paid stuff and into the free stuff as quickly as possible. So if you're wondering why I'm just posting book titles, I'm doing that because for a reason, basically. And then Pathfinder's NPC Codex, if you're playing, say, Pathfinder, I actually think that's a pretty good resource as well. I've seen it, I don't own it, okay? But I have seen what is in it a long time ago. It might be a bit expensive though. You know, it's been around a while. It might be hard to get. So yeah, well, don't freak out if you can't get that one, because it's not the end of the story here. So this one here, this is the Codex for Pathfinder NPCs, and then what was the other one that I wanted to show you as well? We're going to do random stuff shortly, but I need to make sure I do books as well. So one more book that I would like to point out. I've been talking a lot about Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark has probably one of the more inspired, it's a player's handbook, it's a monster manual, and it's a Dungeon Master Guide. But the Dungeon Master Guide section is really useful. It's an expensive book though. It's very expensive. I think I paid $100 for the PDF and the book in New Zealand money, not in American money, not in real money. And then I think the shipping was $52 to get it to New Zealand, which was just astronomical. Like it was painful to go through that. And I think the book is actually becoming more and more popular, so the price might be going up rather than going down. So there's a link to that. You can find this on the Arcane Library website, and I think that's all of the books that I wanted to mention. Now I want to talk about some websites, and I'm going to well, not talk about them, but I'm just going to show you them. One of the things I realized when I was doing this presentation is it's all very well talking about stuff, but then then you've got to go and hunt and remember what was the name of the thing that Fred was talking about, and like it's probably good if I just include those links. So the NPC generator, and I'm going to say it now, it's not perfect. It won't necessarily give you everything you need, okay? It gives you bits and pieces, okay? It gives you bits and pieces. It'll work for some people, it won't work for others. But this is one NPC generator that you can use, and it's completely free. You do not have to pay for it, okay? Next, I want to go down to, done this, oh, right, okay. So very obvious, I've been talking about it a lot. I'm sure you all know what the heck it is. Chat GPT. Have I got the right place? OpenAI. On your desktop, OpenAI, introducing ChatGPT. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a link to the introduction if you haven't been using it. I'm going to warn you now, I find that you will have to rewrite a lot. It's really, if you get stuck and you just don't know where to begin, at least it gives you a starting point, right? Next is fantasy name generators. Or fantasy name generator. So I'm going to just take a copy of this and plonk that in and bring that up. Now I use this a lot. This gives you like a huge number of different generators. Real names, fantasy names, all sorts of stuff. It's really quite impressive. So that's fantasy name generator. This is also free. You do not have to pay for it. Okay. Next, we can go down here and we have Donjon, the website. Now, I'm sure a lot of you already know about Donjon, but if you're new to tabletop role-playing games, you may not be aware of it. So I'll put the link in for. Oh, I've just put the wrong link in. That's the word Donjon. It's not the actual. Okay, let's try it again. And then yes, here we go. It's got a lot of other tools too. It's not just a name generator. It does a lot of different things. So yeah, pretty useful. Probably not as advanced as some places, but it does a lot of different things as well. Yep, that's Donjon. And then next on my list is, here, Master the Dungeon website, which I was mentioning before for name generation. It's not just name generation, it's got a lot of other resources as well, okay? You could get a lot out of this website. If you really have a good hunt through there, you'll find lots of really interesting stuff and useful stuff. And I will just, yes, so the resources section, there we go. So there's a website there. And I'll just bring this down. So I'll drop this in. Again, this is free. You do not have to pay for it. And I believe they have a YouTube channel as well. I don't know that I agree with everything they say, but then nobody does agree with everything that everybody says. So it's not really that important. Yeah, but it's got some tools that you could use. The game Makers Forge Games also has a website that you can get a whole lot of free resources from. It's not just NPCs too, people. It's like everything under the sun. So let me just paste this, see if I can get this to come up. Okay, here we go. I need a drink of water. And yeah, it's got more than just NPC stuff here. It really does. A lot of different tools. So I'll drop that in. That's that one. That's also free. Doesn't cost you a thing. And then, what's the other one that I was... Sly Flourish. An NPC list. Now, Sly Flourish has a website, but he also has a YouTube channel, and you can find quite a few different resources for pretty much anything under the sun. And if I can just find hand along, okay, handling, tag along. So there's so much here. I think that's the link that I want to give you, so I'll drop that in and go check that one out. Again, free. You don't have to pay for it, you just need to use the resource. Next, motivations. Was I looking through here? I think I covered all of them. That's all good. That's all good. Did I say D&D Speak? I don't know if I mentioned the D&D Speak. No, I did mention. I just didn't give you the link. So let me give you the link to that website. This thing keeps growing. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You'll be amazed at just how much stuff is here. So I haven't put it in yet, so let's put it in. Paste D&D Speak. All right. It's not just for Dungeons and Dragons, by the way, people. It's just fantasy stuff. Okay. There is the Spontaneous Dungeon Master's Companion. My general feeling is you can probably get away with not worrying about that particular DM's Guild product, because there are so many things that are free that do it probably better than that product. But I don't think do you even have to pay for it? I think it's free. I think that's part of the reason I said it is like it's a free product. I think you pay what you want or something like that. I think that's generally how it works. I can't remember. It might have changed. I don't know. Let me just see if I can find a link to it. And yeah, I guess I found it. And I just need to find. It's like $1. It's not expensive. Yeah. But if you don't want to pay for it, then don't pay for it and just use the other stuff you're just going to have to spend a bit of time collecting it all up into one place, right? There we go. So that's that link. And then, what else do we have here? Sheesh, do so many things. Easy, done that. Did I give you a link to, oh, I talk about story cubes and Rory's story cubes a lot. We probably should have a link for Rory's story cubes. You can get the phone app. You don't even have to buy physical dice. You don't have to buy the physical product. You can just get a very cheap phone app, and it does that. It does exactly what you need it to do. So let's see here. Rory's story cubes. And if I can just find you a link to this that's easy to find. I find the original one is better than the other ones. Like, you can get action dice as well, and they're all right. But yeah, I think the original is my personal favorite. And I just need to find a link where it's fairly cheap. This one here. These links are not. They're not affiliate links, by the way, people. Okay, so this is another pay thing. Sorry about that, people. I was trying to put all the paid things in first. Oops, I can't put it in. Okay, so that's not going to work. All right, so much for that. Rory's story cubes. Anyway, never mind. And then what else? Let's try. Done that one. And then appearance. I don't know if we're going to necessarily be able to do the face cards. Portrait cards. You can make your own portrait cards. You can just get a piece of cardboard and print out some stuff and just stick them onto a card. It's all it is just basically a bust, head and bust of somebody, and you just use those as your NPC images, and you can just shuffle them up. You can reuse them, so you don't even have to buy those things. You can just make them if you wanted to. Do I want to give you a link to Midjourney? I suppose I can give you a link to Midjourney. You probably know what Midjourney is. Most of you probably already Midjourney. Midjourney. Good Lord. I hate this website so much. It just makes me feel like I've entered the Matrix, and I don't like that effect. I like the Matrix movie, I just don't like that feeling. Anyway, next. Hero Forge, because I was talking about Hero Forge again. These can be traps, so don't get too carried away. So I'll bring that across, and I'll drop that in as well, so you can get access to that. You're probably thinking, why didn't you just stick it all into the description? Well, I suppose I could have done that, but no, I didn't. Why? It would have been a long description. It'll be a long description. And I changed this program too. It's not like it stays the same. It does get adjusted over time. So I'd have to constantly be changing it. So let's just do that. Hero Forge. Yes, there we go. There are other websites that do something similar. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Will it let me? I think this link is going to be too long. No, Hero Forge is just way too long. It won't even fit. So forget about it. Move it along. Another website that we can give you that I mentioned that you might have trouble finding. Here we go. Doll's Health. Let's go with Doll's Health. Doll's Health should be a pretty short link. And I'll give you that one. This is going to have a bunch of tools that are just more than just what you would normally, it doesn't just give you NPCs. It gives you a lot of different things. I'll just grab that link and drop that in. Again, this one is free. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to pay for it. So there you go. What's the other one? Is there any more? I think there is. I just can't remember where they are. Oh, RPG Tinker, because I was talking about RPG Tinker, wasn't I? RPG Tinker. And I think that's all of the websites. Oh, there's another one I'd almost forgotten. I hope it's still running. Kind of got involved in the development of Chartopia. Chartopia is basically an online charts and random tables website. I have hoped that they would Chartopia. I had hoped that they would turn it into a phone app, and the creator of it, in short, basically has told me that it's not feasible, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's changed, but there is a website. You can make your own generators. There's a lot of generators already there for NPCs, locations, like all sorts of different things. And this website is still running, and it is still currently free, which has meant the guy who's been creating it is not getting paid very much to have it running, unfortunately. There's a lot of work that have gone into this one. Okay, so that's that one. Is that everything? Have I given you everything? Oh, there's one more that I probably should throw your way as well. And, come on. I've got that. I did take down TerraCube. Okay, TerraCube. Is that TerraCube? Can I get TerraCube up? Let's see if I can get TerraCube up. Copy and bring TerraCube up. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's see. TerraCube. Got a lot of resources. Okay, here, TerraCube. Look, this is for generating monsters, but you can also use it for making NPCs. And this is 5e stuff. Okay. So this is this website. And then let's close this one down and see if I can find another one. Pathfinder products, Master. No, that's that one done. That's that one done. I think that's generally all the ones that I wanted to share with you. Oh no, there was one more. That's right. I forgot about that. Okay. And good Lord. Yeah, we need to find the right link. Here we go. I think this is it. This is it. This is the last one. Oh, no, it's not the last one. I forgot. It's not the last one. This is my Patreon. Okay, I put a lot of stuff up there. And I try really hard to make more and more tools. I've got two in particular that I'm working on, which is NPC goals. I've got villain goals up there on Patreon, and it's a table of 100 different villain goals. Like, this is a lot of different motivations, villain motivations. Still working on 100 different NPC secrets and motivations, and in the future I plan to do a few more around NPCs. These tables of 100 take an enormous amount of time, and I have to go through them and make sure I haven't done repeats and it's going to work. So it can be a bit of a task, but let's see if I can just find, and this is my Discord. This is where I'm going to probably be after this live stream. If you want to come and hang out, have a chat, have a talk about what's going on, and deal with any problems you might be having. It is not exclusively. You do not have to pay for it. It's not a patron-only thing. I'm not popular enough and busy enough to wind up having a situation like that occur. So I'm quite open to just talking to people willy-nilly. So that's everything that I have. I'm going to end this poll. I've been going for a little while. My voice is gone. So, do you have trouble making non-player characters for your tabletop role-playing games? Undecided, 40%, okay. No, 30%, yes, 20%, just watching, 10% out of 10 votes. Can I just say that everybody at some point has trouble making NPCs. NPCs are such a important aspect to your game and require you to make so many. If you play long enough, or you're game mastering or dungeon mastering long enough, you have to create so many NPCs. Think about how many NPCs that you would put in just one adventure. It's probably not going to just be one. You've probably got a villain. You've probably got somebody who gives the quest, or at least maybe a patron or something like that. And then you've got somebody to interact, somebody the helper, somebody who helps lead them in the right direction. Somebody they get the clues from or ask questions of. So you have at least 3 in pretty much every single adventure, and that's just the minimum that you're likely to create. So yeah, there's a lot of work involved in doing NPCs. So I'm going to get out of here. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody. I will be over on Discord in a few minutes. I just need to do a couple of things. Only a few minutes. I shouldn't be long. So thank you for watching and listening. Thank you to everybody who took part in the poll. Huge thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon. And in particular, those people who showed up in the chat, Quit Up and Dungeons and Chronics, Pal Rider and Fred Huber, who is a patron. Thank you for hanging out with us today. I really do appreciate it. So wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, or the night, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Right, I think, yeah, there we go. I'm done. All right, sweet.